Namaste, soul family. It's Sky Goddess, and coming back at you with some more predictions regarding the future, and in regards to the transit of the celestial bodies. So, I did make mention in the previous videos that I uploaded prior to this one about the common astrology being synchronized with Chinese astrology, and everything is everything, rightly so. Okay, so we've got, year of the ox, frequency 5. The ox can be synchronized with, it is synchronized with that Taurus frequency. Okay, that's an aspect of Venus, a physical aspect of Venus, a tangible, earthy aspect of Venus that represents, morals and values, and the things that form the foundation of our societies. Taurus, therefore, is also the family, its systems. Okay, so whether it's the um, medical system, the academical system, the political system, the family system, the community system, nation systems, and the whole tribe of humanity at large. So systems, foundations that um, creates that form of safety around us, they are being changed. That's that Leo frequency, frequency 5. And, Leo, it's governed by that celestial body, the sun. And the sun is the master of all time. And, the sun, not saying that it moves, who knows, because, the universe is constantly expanding. So I would surmise, that would, displace or shift place certain celestial bodies. We don't know. That's just a theory of mine, okay, or a thought of mine. But um, the universe, it's constantly being expanded, and because time, time is change itself. And that is that Leo, which is the sun, pulling on that Uranus frequency, which is Aquarius. Going back to the systems, because I don't want to get lost and I don't want to get you lost in the sauce. So the systems of this world, some call it the matrix, it's being changed, and with the ox frequency being in the frequency of Leo, it is a timely change. That is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so it is change, not sudden, not unexpected, because there has been much talk within the spiritual community of this current change that we are observing and experiencing. This change was prophesied also in various religious sects and beliefs. That's that fluid aspect of Taurus. Libra, that's that airy aspect of Taurus. So Pisces, that's our subconscious, and that is being greatly, impacted on right now. Because, like I said, at the end of this 12-year cycle, Neptune, which is the celestial body, the ruler of Pisces, the zodiac Pisces, is going to be in the Hermit, which is a transitioner. Okay? And therefore, that is to say that everything that takes place from the beginning to the end of this 12-year cycle is to prepare us for that transformation of thoughts, because the Hermit is also our thoughts. Okay? Gemini is the words, but with the words there are thoughts, or prior to the words are thoughts. Though with some people it varies. So there is a spiritual transformation that is, taking place. I'm gonna start with the celestial body Saturn. I'm gonna do these, the way in which, the Chinese zodiac synchronizes with the transit of the celestial bodies, and I'm gonna segment these different frequencies. So I'm going to start off with Capricorn, and I'm going to come back at you with, a different video, connecting the dots to the change in frequencies in Jupiter and the other celestial bodies, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, the major celestial bodies, because these major celestial bodies, they affect, the whole tribe of humanity basically in, you know, one go. Okay, the other celestial bodies, they shift frequencies so commonly, and so, a few people can resonate with a certain frequency at a certain time. But with these large bodies, okay, taking a much slower time to, revolve around the sun, they have their impact. It expands and stretches to a wider uh, group of people. And so let me begin with Capricorn. So Capricorn, the frequency, zodiacal frequency ruled by Saturn. Okay, this deals with life lessons and hardships. A rough sea makes an excellent sailor. And therefore, to go through life without any gems, I call those life lessons, you know, is to, have wasted one's life. Okay? It's not about the wealth that you've accumulated, but it's rather the knowledge. Because it is the knowledge that you accumulate, okay, that is going to aid you in transcending, okay, which is reaching that level of divinity more in which you are seemingly all powerful and invincible. Though you must remember, though invincible, you are also um, weak and fragile. Because though we do have free will, it is like everything else to a limit and extent. Because the rigidity, the framework, the structures, they are as important as the non-structures. Okay, they help to create that balance. Without either, there is nothing but chaos, disorder, and mayhem. So we saw that, Capricorn, Saturn rather, that's the celestial body that shifts, within the cosmos, causing, these changes where our life lessons are concerned. We saw that shift into the frequency of Aquarius in 2020. And it will continue its transit, through to 2023. Okay? Um, Life lessons have changed. And that duration, little less than 3 years, is not to say that that covers a wide generation or a vast amount of generations, but the duration within itself shows you that this transit, this shift in frequency, is not just for a small group of people, it's not just for a little while. It's going to create a ripple effect, in other words, because of the duration of the enduring frequencies or frequency. So we saw, okay, I do know that, there has been advancements where, space explorations are concerned with that plan. colonization of Mars. Okay, Aquarius, that is a frequency of science and technology, of knowing. It is I know, and who wants to know? The scientists, they want to know. So the astrologers, the astronomers, the cosmologists, all those who fall under science, sure, they say that the study of business is a form of science because science is the study of anything. But practical science, let me just say that. Okay, that is Aquarius. Okay, technology, because that is also from science. So technology, science. Okay, they go hand in hand. And also art, because Aquarius is the artist and the actor. We see that industry being changed as well. um, Originality and sudden change, and there are a lots of sudden changes taking place before our eyes. Okay, so Capricorn, okay, that is also the workplace, because that's where we experience much hardship. Okay, and toxic families. Okay, we can say that, because Taurus, that's the family. Okay, a beautiful family. But when you've got a toxic family system, you can liken that to Capricorn, hardships and life lessons. But for the most part, Capricorn, that's the workplace. Okay, your job. Okay, that's not a hustle. Okay, that is more like Taurus. Okay, Taurus is more the hustler, the mason. Okay, and as well as Gemini. Gemini is the craftsmith. Okay, jack of all trades, master of none. Okay, but when you're thinking of something more stable and something that you are more dependent upon, we think Capricorn. That's Capricorn, dependency. Okay, so we see, the workplace has changed since 2020. It's no more the same. As a matter of fact, a lot of these workplaces have been closed down. Sudden ends, that's Aquarius frequency. So a sudden end to a lot of, jobs, long-term jobs, not hustling jobs, okay? I guess those are somewhat safe, okay? But those are really smaller energies. When we're thinking something, like I said, more long term, we're looking at these larger celestial bodies that take their little time to, revolve around the sun while transiting the zodiacs. Okay? So we see the workplace, has been changed. Okay? And with the toxic families, we see, there are revelations. Okay? And when you think families, not necessarily your immediate family. It could just be a local family, local celebrities, your community members, your nation members, your fellow citizens. Okay, and so we see revelations of toxicity all around us. And this isn't something that's really happening externally. This is like every man judging their own. Okay, and we see that. Okay, if you don't see that, just listen. You will hear, and observe. You will see. So our life lessons. Okay, we are learning new things now. Okay, we're learning how to, you know, socially distance ourselves. Okay, we're learning now to introspect because we're being forced to, some of us. Okay, due to the curfews and the quarantines. I spoke of those in the other videos. Okay, so we see, also there will be a lot of toxicities coming to a sudden end. And it might not be a clean end for you know um toxicities and you know um codependencies, but they're gonna change and shift because with each era, each generation, The woes are different, as are the blessings. Okay. And hence COVID-19, because it's the year, it's the, let me say, it's the age of the scientist, age of Aquarius, and we have so many of these large bodies. you know a lot of people thought that 2000 was the mark of something, and that's an illusion, because you just look at the outside of the digits, and 2000, because it got three zeros, it's got to be something big. Yes, it means something. Them three zeros, they do mean something, but there are other arrangements that means a much greater big deal. And that is why the study of numbers are important. Numerology, everything is everything. A little here and a little there. Okay, so we see this major change really taking place 2020. But let me say this change, it was coming on from 2008. Okay, it was coming on from 2008, and then we are in the middle. Okay, so let's say we are in the climax. I said this about the 3 12-year cycle, that is 36 years, and we are in the middle of that 36-year cycle. Okay, not middle, but middle, in terms of we are in the second 12 year of that 3 12-year cycle. And the middle means something, because the beginning wasn't all that. We saw that 2008 to the end of 2019, but we saw at the beginning of 2020. As a matter of fact, this was really like the the last quarter of 2019, when they said the outbreak actually took place. Okay, ushering in 2020. Okay, so but the evidence, the physical evidence of the actual change, okay, we saw in 2020, where countries were revising their laws and changing up systems, and what was allowed. Okay, and then you had the curfews and the quarantines, and so on and so forth. And so our woes became a whole different set of woes. Okay, and that's that Capricorn in the frequency of Aquarius. Okay, sudden changes, sudden ends. And Capricorn, okay, it's your job. Okay, it's not your work. Taurus is your work. That's an aspect of Taurus. Okay, tilling and toiling the earth. But Capricorn, that concrete jungle, that's your job. That's something more long term. That's something that you depend upon. That's that Capricorn frequency. And we see, it's evident that jobs are gonna suddenly come to an end. No one expected this. Most people rather didn't expect you know, their jobs that they've had for 20 something years, 30 something years, 10 years or more, 40 something years, to suddenly come to an end. But they did, they did, because that's that Saturn transiting Aquarius frequency. Okay, jobs, okay, suddenly coming to ends, okay, and jobs being changed, because the jobs that do still exist, they have been changed. Okay, and they're gonna, this is gonna be long term. Like I said, it's the cycle. And once, when Capricorn does leave Aquarius to Pisces, that's a whole other kettle of fish, because Pisces is so similar to Aquarius, but that difference, one is of the air element and one is of the water element, but they're all flowing. They're the two oldest, or the two eldest of the zodiac. And so they're all about the non tangible. And at the end of this 12-year cycle, people are going to be in a subconscious state of giving, of helping, of aiding, of assisting. That's that Neptune in the Hermit, Virgo. Okay, because I said this. I said this prior to even analyzing any of these transits that, you know, death is your master. People, they only listen to death. And, death isn't necessarily a physical form or in a physical form. Death can be loss of your job, a demotion, a promotion. Death can be the loss of your home, the gaining of a home, the loss of a job, the gaining of a job. It can be the you getting married, you getting a divorce. It's any change. Scorpios also change, but that's that watery change. That watery change. Leo, that's that fiery change. Scorpio, that's that watery change. Aquarius, that's that airy change. Virgo, it's that you know earthy change. When you think of shifting tangible things, that's Virgo. Virgos, they love to move shit and rearrange shit and decorate and practice feng shui and them stuff like that. Okay? So, death is a change and it comes in various different ways, shape, and form. Aquarius is a form of death. Scorpio is a form of death. Virgo the Hermit is a form of death. And we see that, form of death, that's going to happen with the planet of Neptune, okay? Or subconscious. But it's a transitional form of death. Scorpio, that's a transformative form of death. Leo, that's that timely form of death. And Aquarius, that's that sudden, unexpected form of death. That's because of the element that they belong to. So you may find that you're gonna be dropping certain habits that were probably toxic. I'm gonna say probably because some people won't want to admit that they are toxic. So let me just smooth that up for you and just say probably toxic. Okay, and you may pick up new toxic traits, new codependencies. So you may find that you're no longer a drinker, you're a smoker, or vice versa. you know, you may find that you may no longer want to be outside every time. You just want to be stuck inside all the time. You may find that you don't want to eat a certain kind of food that made you feel guilty, but you may find that you switch to something that is just as bad, but you just feel that it's better because it's something else. So that's also you're gonna experience changes there as well if you are want to have codependencies, okay, or to be codependent. If you want to be codependent. So, Capricorn also, it is, what is that word that I wanted to use again? Not prestige, that is more like Taurus energy, because that's like I said, ethics, morals, and tradition, okay? And we know that prestige, that's really traditional. That's something that, is generational. That's something that runs, in family lines, family lineages. Okay, but Capricorn, this is a mogul. Okay, and another prediction that I did make prior to observing these transits is that I would see that also because okay, okay, so we see these two Earth frequencies, Capricorn and Taurus. They're in a form of change, and they are. Look at that. Okay, one has Leo, one has Aquarius. So the systems, they're being changed, but that was expected. Okay, the Rastaman, they say, they have this thing, that Babylon of abundance. That is to say, the matrix, these systems of norms and values and traditions, they're gonna be out. Okay, that is a prophecy. Okay, And we see that with Taurus, the ox frequency in, ox frequency 5, okay? That is to say, like, okay, Leo in the second house, okay? Because each of these, frequencies of the Chinese zodiac, they are affiliated with each house. Is, the zodiacal frequencies are affiliated with each house. Okay, so we are in the second house right now. Okay, that's everything to do with Taurus, everything to do with the ox. That's in, Leo, the sun. It is time. Okay, it's time for change, the timely change. We got Capricorn, another earth frequency. Okay, both of these, they sandwich the Hermit, Virgo, which will take, its place on stage when Neptune transits that frequency, 2031. Well, it will be prior to, let me see. No, it will be from, yeah, that is a frequency that I slightly got confused there, mixing, the transit of the celestial bodies with the Chinese zodiac. But yeah, the Hermit will take, well, the Hermit is in charge where the Chinese zodiac is concerned, outside of us being in the frequency of the ox. But there's a transitional frequency from the beginning to the end of the cycle, this 12-year cycle. So the Hermit is in charge of that. They say quiet, but sudden change. So those who, have hearing disorders or handicap, you know, where their hearing is concerned, you know, or people who are hard of hearing, they're going to miss out on a lot because this is something that doesn't make a lot of sound. But it is happening, and it's happening suddenly. So we got, these jobs being changed, they're coming to, ends. Nobody expected, these changes because that's Aquarius. It's the element of surprise. Aquarians, if there's no other sign that knows how to surprise people, it's an Aquarian. If there are no other signs, it's Aquarius. So we've got Capricorn there. Okay, we've got that means also a rise in scientific jobs. Okay, astrological jobs. We've got, like, here in Jamaica, probably I'm gonna say like probably a year ago or a few years ago now. No, I'm not gonna say that long. Probably, definitely less than 2 years. I've been, I started hearing a lot of advertisements of, Indian astrologers on the local channels, and I thought to myself when I first heard one of the advertisements, like, good Lord, what is Jamaica coming to? But I too am an astrologer and so much more, but I find that, it's really hard for, black people to trust their own because they trouble with a self-esteem issue. They don't even trust themselves. And it is therefore hard for them to trust their own, and especially here in Jamaica, I see it a lot. When you're a young entrepreneur and you're just starting out, yeah, a lot of people, they tend to be very cynical, very critical, and a lot of them tend to treat you as though you are a scammer. They tend to treat you as though you don't matter, and that what you're doing, it's really, mundane and trivial. They don't try to understand. It's a lot of illiteracy that is, really saddening. And so these people, they rather to support the foreigners. And so I surmise these Indian astrologers, they're doing okay um, in a way because, Like I said, the locals, they don't support each other, and that's because a lot of them are actually scammers, and they just think that you're a scammer as well. So it's an unfair seemingly scenario of thief no life is a thief with long bag, but I'm only I'm not a thief. That's the sad thing, the sad part of it. Okay, so I actually do have knowledge. I actually do have valuable jewels to share with the human race, not just with Jamaica or Jamaicans or black people or white people or Chinese people. It's just the whole tribe of humanity. Okay, I'm not a partial or biased individual. I'm in a friend with nobody. Okay, okay, so I actually been telling people though for a while now that there are gonna be lots of jobs, humanitarian jobs, and not because I said humanitarian jobs mean you won't get paid for them, because I use the term humanitarian loosely. It's the Aquarian. Aquarius is the humanitarian, and also the vegan. Okay, very empathic, feels for, is that empathic air sign, like Pisces is that empathic water sign, and it feels for every living thing. It is balance. It's that personification of balance. When you see an Aquarius, like Aquarius moon, because that's someone who feels balance. That's Aquarius balance being in the moon, the emotions. Okay, so this is someone who balances their emotions. Okay, and someone who's also Aquarius North Node, because your North Node is who you are in this lifetime. Who are you? Okay, your North Node is Aquarius. You are a humanitarian. You are a scientist. You are an astrologer. You are a vegan. Okay, you are everything that Aquarius embodies. And you're going to see a lot of rise in jobs in this area. That's what I mean to say. So this is also farming, okay? Farming of vegetation. Okay, so there might not be much, uh, poultry farming or, dairy farming, but there will be lots of, there's a lot of money, in other words, in farming vegetation. Because as you've been listening, if you've been listening any at all, there is famine. There's a famine crisis, okay? And for the areas that have not yet been affected, will be in the future. And that is why farming is a lucrative business to get involved in right now. Because guess what? Rich or poor, people gotta eat. One thing that everyone buys, it's food. Not everybody buys a Louis Vuitton or Versace or whatever the fuck they call it, or a Dolce and Gabbana, or a Lamborghini car, or a townhouse. Not everybody buys those. There's a bracket. Okay, there is a financial bracket that determines who is able to buy the Versace, the Dolce and Gabbana, the Louis Vuittons. That's not something that the rich, the poor, and the middle class they share in common. But food, you gotta think what people want and need. And that is why an Aquarian will survive well in this day and age, because Aquarians, they are thinkers like Virgos. They're that airy thinker. Virgos that earthy thinker. Okay, that's why they're so nurturing and helpful, like Aquarians. Okay, it's their guides, their spiritual guides. Virgos, they're the hermit. They they assist you. They aid you. Okay. Aquarius is the humanitarian who also aids and assists and is also thoughtful, like Virgo. And so you've got which is rightly where so to have Neptune in that frequency at the end of 2031, because with ending of jobs and changing of jobs, it's a very humbling process. It's a very humbling experience that a lot of people are having right now. A lot of people were, I think, very prideful where their wealth was concerned or their positions, and the matrix was concerned. That's been changed. That's been suddenly changed for some people, and that has been ended for some. So prestige is, not to say threatened, but it will be changed. And I did make this prophecy as well prior to observing the transits, that those who were once considered prestigious might find themselves at the bottom of the pyramid, okay? Some may be lucky to find themselves as poor people living in poor housing projects, if not homeless, okay, or committing suicide. And some of the wealthy, prestigious people may just drop it down a notch to middle class. But we've got homeless people, poor people who are going to soar to the top of prestigiousness and wealth, and being greatly valued. So the underdogs, let me just say, this is a very sensitive, point in human history. Never before have the schools been, changed in such a dramatic and sudden way. Never before have you had church. This one is actually funny. Church is being banned, okay, because they pose a health crisis to the nations, the communities, and so on and so forth. So I could go on and on. The banks, they're shutting down branches. Okay, when you go into the branches that are able to stay open, the tellers, you can actually count them on one hand, like one, two, three, and if you're lucky, you may see four. That'll make your wait in the queue a lot shorter. But a lot of these banks, and let me just tell you something, there's going to be a massive depression within this 12-year time span, because like I said, it's one that is humbling, and it is one that its ultimate aim is to bring about spiritual consciousness for humans to become subconsciously conscious, realize, awaken, okay, that you are actually spiritual beings having a human experience and not the other way around, okay? So I sensed this. I sensed all of this. Like I literally didn't have to read the transits. I actually knew all of this. This is just like a confirmation from the Greek spirit that my intuition was right, and it has always been right, and I should always trust my intuition. Okay, so I've got, let me see, jobs in the farming industry. We've got also jobs in the science industry, um, technology, because you see now that there's going to be a demand for computer programmers, because we see that a lot of these businesses, they are the ones who can afford to stay open, as a matter of fact, they're going online, okay, so that's a demand for computer programmers. um, Fashion, okay, fashion is changing. Everybody's got the whole mask thing, kind of like Jason and shit. Not the entire, but some people they're that extra, and some people they got the whole face mask thing going. Okay, I guess they don't want their eyes to contract COVID. No, but they still can see. But you know what I mean. It minimizes the risk of anything getting into the eyes, if you get what I mean. There are no corners. It's just straight ahead. So fashion is changing. How is this? Masks are trending. So we see that. Okay, so a lot of people found employment in making masks. People who didn't have jobs prior to making masks. Some they've gained employment in buying and selling masks, not making them, but buying and selling them. Okay, we've got people speaking out more in the workplaces. Okay, people speaking their truths. Um, where sexism and sexual harassment are concerned, that whole Me Too movement that began, I would surmise maybe about 2019. That's when Neptune rather, was transiting, was in that frequency of Gemini. Speaking Chinese zodiac, let me not say transit. That's when, that's the frequency of Neptune rather in Gemini. That was the year of the pig, frequency 3, 2019. Okay? And that was where people's subconscious started to shift and change. Okay? And people started to speak their minds. Okay? So we had that whole, onset of the Me Too movement. People speaking. Okay, what's in their subconscious. Okay, there wasn't much thought. There will be thought to, what comes from the mouth. Okay, there will be balance in self. Okay, year 2031. Okay, there will be balancing of self. Okay, because people will be thinking before they speak. That's that Neptune in the Hermit, Neptune in Virgo, being a guard to our subconscious, guarding one's subconscious. So you know what's within your subconscious, you know what it is that you want, but you are not going to speak it so much, or you are going to be wise in how you speak this, because the Hermit is also like an owl, okay? They observe more and they speak less, which is, make less sounds, okay? They don't make as much sounds as the other birds, okay? They make sounds in their own language, but not as much as the other birds. The other birds are like boxes compared to the owls. So the owl is, referred to, I can synchronize that to the hermit, okay? Where you see and you observe, and because of that, you weigh your words. Oh, that rhymes. Okay? You see and you observe, and therefore you weigh your words. Okay? And that's the frequency that Neptune will be in. Okay, so let me see if there's anything else to cover with Saturn being, in Aquarius, transiting Aquarius. Okay, for these less than 2 years. Okay? So, okay. Also, a lot of entrepreneurship where in which people are gonna be, very authentic and the way in which they provide for themselves and their families, hopefully not toxic ways. I wouldn't think so. That would more be Cappy in Cappy, but Cappy in Aquarius, that's a very balanced frequency. So these jobs, they're gonna also be very good for the environment because, like I said, Aquarius is the humanitarian. And so, therefore, jobs in this humanitarian frequency are going to be very lucrative, okay? So, a lot of people, there are other frequencies that also supports what I'm saying, okay, which I will speak of in other videos as we come across them. But there are other frequencies that do synchronize this, that, um, jobs and that Aquarius frequency will definitely, that authenticity frequency of originality. And people misconceive what originality means. It doesn't mean something that's never been seen before, not necessarily. It means something that is yours. So therefore, if you've got well, we all have natal charts. You gotta choose something that is, original and authentic to you. So if I come up with an idea to make money, that's my idea. It's not gonna make you rich. It's gonna make me rich. Okay, because that's my authentic idea. People think the universe is, or God himself. They think that he who created all of us, we're so smart to think that we're smart enough to, deceive him. We think that we're smart enough to think that we can deceive him. That sounded confusing, but the smart people get what I'm trying to say. Okay? So God created us, okay, who think we're so smart to think that we can deceive him. And that's how I see it with a lot of human beings. It's so pathetic that they think that they're greater than the creator. You know, Spirit knows what's authentic to you, and Spirit knows what's authentic to me, and what's authentic to everyone else. Nikola Tesla, he made this statement that he wasn't upset. I think, people used to smooch off his ideas, and, you know, I think his death wasn't, of natural cause. Though he died in old age, doesn't mean that every old person who dies, dies of natural causes. Some of them were poisoned, some of them were suffocated, some of them were killed in various ways and means, okay? Torture and all of that shit. Okay, so they stole a lot of his shit that they didn't want to take accountability for. They didn't even want to mention these things that they took. So that sounds like high class thievery to me. Okay, so he said he didn't care that they didn't have their own ideas. He didn't care that they stole his idea. He cared that they don't have any of their own. And I feel him. I feel him on that one. Their minds are so small and so low that it is really hard for them to even grasp or conceptualize authenticity. They don't know anything about it's like the dumb kid at school who copies not just the answers in the test, but your name, and everything else that is really you. That should not be copied. So we all have birth charts, we all have our individual fates and destinies. Okay, and authenticity to each of us, it's different. It's different. And so the only way for you to uh be prosperous during this 12 year and beyond is to go with the flow, and think to yourself, what are you gifted with to use to enhance your life or to make your life better. Okay, and this must also always be to the greater benefit of the tribe of humanity. So don't ask selfishly. Okay, they're judges, high priestesses and high priests, hermits who watch over everything that takes place. Okay, and they know what is not to be, that which doesn't benefit the whole tribe of humanity. And that's why sometimes some prayers they don't get answered. Maybe they were just, selfish prayers. You gaining happiness out of someone else's sorrow. And that's not balanced. Because eventually that's going to lead to your own sorrow, and that's two sorrows that were really unnecessary. You know, like I say, the breaking up of a family. And with ox frequency, 5, we got people gonna be getting married, especially I'm gonna look back. There's that year. I'm not gonna make mention of that in this video, but people within this 12-year cycle, people are gonna get married. A lot of people are gonna get married. Also, a lot of people get divorced. Okay, so I don't know which is gonna be more, but a lot of both will be taking place. Changes to the family, okay? And these marriages that are gonna end, these are long-term marriages. These are not young marriages. People who have been married for 15, 20 years are just suddenly gonna just up and divorce each other. Could be over a new yang thing. Who knows? But that's gonna happen. A lot of people are gonna lose their spouse to illness. Some have already lost their spouses to illnesses. The pandemic. So, okay, that's one evidence for you. People losing, their children, whether it's, through social services or family separation. Um, some are actually gonna lose their children, to death. Some people, their children are actually gonna die. Okay, so the family systems overall are being, transformed and being strongly affected, not just by that Leo frequency, but by the pale horse that I spoke of already. Death. There's gonna be a lot of death within this 12-year cycle, and death on all different levels, all different frequencies, physically, mentally, financially, emotionally, lots of dark nights of the soul, because people gonna lose people they never thought they would ever lose, people they never thought would die, but for human beings, though we're invincible, we're also, powerless to death. Because death is your master, and everyone and everything has got about you the frequency of death, the Grim Reaper. So, there are deaths coming in, waves of deaths in various, frequencies. Look out for them. Okay, might not be this year, but look out for next year. There is, a transformation. There's going to be a transformation where communication is concerned. Is this going to be a good transformation? I don't know. I have to think about it. Okay, I'll see you guys in the next video.